Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and that's what we're here to watch. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So it's a story of Fred Rogers and a journalist who is known for like tearing people apart when he writes about them. And evidently they built a friendship, and I think his purpose was to go in and write about Mr. Rogers and make him look bad. Maybe get some skeletons out of the closet, but then they end up in a friendship. I don't know, but that's what I think it's about. Tom Hanks, of course, is playing Mr. Rogers. If you haven't already, check out the documentary about Mr. Rogers. It'll make you cry. So hopefully this doesn't. Of course, nothing makes me cry, but might make you cry. But I'll get into it here. It's an hour and 48 minutes long, and 7.8 on IMDb. So let me get into it, find out what it's about, check back in, let you know what it's really about, and ultimately what I think about it. So stick around. I'll be back. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. No check-ins, wasn't necessarily needed in this one. So the story is more about the journalist, and in the movie, which is interesting, I had to look it up, the journalist was actually Tom Janad, was the actual journalist's name, but in the movie his name was Lloyd Vogel. Not sure why they changed that aspect of it, but that doesn't matter. It's about so Lloyd's character is a journalist, and from what I've read or what I've been told by other people, he usually interviews people and tears them apart, exposes things about them, makes them look bad. That's not prevalent in this movie. So in this movie he's just a journalist, and he wants to learn more about, and he's assigned to do an article about Mr. Rogers and do 400 words. But once he meets with him, he kind of gets sucked into it and wants to learn more and more about him. Doesn't believe that he might be real, the way that he acts. At one point he says, there's Fred Rogers, and then there's the character of Mr. Rogers. And of course Mr. Rogers is one and the same as what he's saying. And so he's a little skeptical of the whole thing, and wants to find out more, and continues to, learn more about him, meet with his family, those types of things. And it's more about him and his journey throughout the entire process, and what's happening in his life with his new wife, new baby. I shouldn't say new wife, but wife, baby, and his estranged father, and things that he's gone through in his life with his relationship with his father, and how Fred Rogers has kind of continues to talk to him, but bring that kind of stuff up to try and make it better in a sense. So and it's I want to say 70% Lloyd, 30% Mr. Rogers, who is played by Tom Hanks. And you know what? It's hard. I mean, Tom Hanks did a fine job. Don't get me wrong, but when you know Mr. Rogers and when you see the documentary, it's like nobody can play him. Nobody. I mean, he did a good job of playing him, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody can do it, and he probably did the best possible ever, but just, he's not Mr. Rogers. And if you haven't already, check out the documentary. I'll put it at the end of this video in one of those little blocks, so you can go ahead and click on it and watch my review, not my review of the documentary, because that was phenomenal. That one was emotional, interesting, educational. This is, I would say, more heartwarming kind of thing. You don't get a deep look into Mr. Rogers. Again, it's more about what happens with the reporter on this one, but still very good, and it's a good movie, I think, for people, especially in today's day and age. It's not an action film or a horror film or anything like that. It's really about the type of person he was and how the impact he had on other people's lives, including this reporter, who you couldn't tell from the film evidently was not of the best reporter. Probably a really good reporter, but had a very cynical, I would say, is what he was, and or at least skeptic. I don't know, but that's just stuff that I've heard. I don't know. I think it's worth watching. If you grew up watching Mr. Rogers, obviously you're going to want to check this out. But now you have a better understanding of really what it's about. It's not so much about him, but the impact he had on other people. And see what you think of Tom Hanks. I think, again, I don't know anybody who could have done better, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know Mr. Rogers, but, you know, it's like, yeah, it's hard. So that's all I got for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know if you do watch it. Be interested to see what you thought about it. And make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, tell your friends, and continue to tune in Kimmel's Irish Pub.